Yeah, good morning. It's Uncle Lou here. That's right. It is me, Uncle Lou, live on LoutubeHere for you. Thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel. I've got some great news for you today. The off season is over. That's right. Give yourselves a round of applause. We made it through the off season. We are officially now into game week Sunday. Week 0, 6 days away, Saturday, August 29th. We've got two Power 4 versus Power 4 matchups. We've got the Ireland game featuring TCU in North Carolina. We have NC State in Virginia in a clash of a couple of ACC schools. There are a couple of other Power 4 opponents that are playing lower classification schools on Saturday, and there's a pretty good G6 game too. UNLV versus Memphis. So I'm excited. I know y'all are too. The longest offseason of any sport in the country, but we have made it, and I couldn't be
Good morning.
It's Uncle Lou here. That's right, it is me, Uncle Lou, live on LouTube for you, and welcome to a Your Season is Over video for the off season. Just getting warmed up here. The real Your Season is Over videos, of course, will start next Sunday, every Sunday during the season, right here on LouTube, the only Sunday afternoon college football recap show that actually matters. That's right, you can go almost anywhere else on the internet, pretty much on Sundays, and find out how great your team did, some amazing performance by your quarterback, how highly you're going to be ranked in the new polls that come out the next day. Go anywhere and get all that glazing. You're not going to get that here. This is the Point and Laugh special every single Sunday during the season here on LouTube. We're getting it kicked off today with a special off-season edition of the Your Season is Over, because of course the off-season is over. We are in game week, 6 days away from week 0. Saturday, August 29th, I'll be live at 9 a.m. for the college football kickoff show that we do every Saturday morning. Get you set for the entire day's slate of games. I'll be live streaming Saturday over on Patreon during the day for those games. If you're over on the Patreon page, I put the poll up today, so make sure you head over there. Every Sunday or Monday during the season, I put the poll up on Patreon. I'll let y'all vote on which games it is you want me to stream that next Saturday. By about Tuesday, we close the poll down, and whatever the votes say, that's what I stream over on Patreon. So make sure y'all head over there. I do have copious notes, and just right off the top here, as far as the helmets I pulled off the wall, these are helmets that just tie in to different stories or events or things that happened during the off season that are now over because we're done with the off season. And I wanted to be able to pull something off the wall. I mean, look, a lot of these teams I think are going to be really good this year. Well, 3 of them I think are going to be really good this year. One of them I think will be better than last year. I don't know if we'll be able to qualify it as good. But anyway, I wanted to be able to pull some helmets off. Like I said, sort of just get us in the mood for when this all starts to happen for real, which will be next Sunday. But there are some topics I want to cover that we went over in the off season, and most of these I'm glad we don't have to talk about these anymore. You know, on one hand, I'm kind of glad that the last 4 or 5 off seasons have been so chaotic in terms of like teams changing conferences, debates about expansion, never-ending eligibility, now with even NFL players coming back into college, because it gives us something to talk about in the offseason. I started doing this 10 or 11 years ago, and you couldn't find anything to talk about really in the offseason. So at least that's like the bright side of it. The downside of it is most of us don't like any of that kind of stuff. We don't like conference expansion. We don't like playoff expansion. We don't like teams changing conferences. We're tired of talking about the eligibility and the court rulings and the Congress cases or the bills going through and all that. We just want to watch football, react to what we see, and then argue about it all week. Isn't that really what we want to do? I mean, that's what this channel was built on. This is a channel by a college football fan, and that's all I am, is a I'm not an analyst, I'm not a broadcaster, I'm not some sort of expert or insider. I'm just a college football fan with a loud mouth and a camera. That's it. And my entire point behind building this channel from the get-go was I want to create a place where other people like me, just fans, can come, watch football, and then argue about it. Arguing about college football is one of my favorite parts about college football. And college football lends itself to that. College football is argumentative in nature and always has been. Why? Primarily because of the ranking system. Like other leagues, you know, you finish in the top 2 or 3 in your division or conference or league, whatever it is, you move on to a postseason. Here it all comes down to rankings, so you never really know. Does anybody know whether Notre Dame was better than Texas last year? Neither made the playoffs, but was Texas A&M better than Utah? Utah was 10. You know what I'm saying? So the arguing. So that's what this channel is. We hang out during the season. We watch the football games on Saturday, and we argue about it all damn week. And I love it. So I'm glad we're getting to the point of the calendar now where we actually have football games to watch and then argue about, as opposed to these never-ending sort of hypothetical scenarios involving conference expansion and playoff expansion and bills in Congress. And anyways, I'm glad we're getting to the time of the year where we can talk about actual games. But before we get there, which again, we'll start next weekend, let's just wrap up some of the things we pointed and laughed at during the offseason, and that gets me back to the helmets over here. I've got several topics I'm going to cover, some of which are team specific, and that's why the helmets are over there. They'll be moved off of these. Your season is not over. Don't get carried away with that already here. No, it doesn't mean your season's actually over. You guys know the deal. It's just point and laugh. So these helmets will be moved back onto the shelf tomorrow. We'll just leave them up there for the video today. Copious notes in that, you already know. Let's start with maybe the funniest one, and that's Texas Tech, Brendan Sorsby, the Texas Tech administration, how they acted, the coaching staff, that ridiculous 15-minute video they put out where they had like Cody Campbell, who's a booster, the school president, the athletic director, the associate ADs. It looked like a hostage video. Like it was a giant mess. Texas Tech completely embarrassed themselves with that whole thing. Brendan Sorsby, it never even should have been considered whether Brendan Sorsby was going to be able to play. The guy bet on his own team. It's a cardinal sin as old as sports itself. You just cannot do that. And then the excuse that the Texas Tech fans would make, which was, we weren't going to do it, but the courts said we had to. The courts didn't say you had. You could have told Brendan Sorsby you didn't want him. Just like you can tell any college football player you don't want them. You just say, look, we're moving on. It was a giant mess. You embarrassed yourselves. Texas Tech fans talked themselves into circles trying to defend it. And I'll tell you, like, the only real positive that came out of that for me was we finally saw something in college football that 99% of the people were against, which was Brendan Sorsby being eligible. We finally saw a scenario where enough people, enough entities, whatever, came together and pushed back on it that they were able to basically override the court system. Not that there was any type of legal judgment against it, but, everybody came out and said, we're not scheduling Texas Tech. The Big 12 came out and said they may not be eligible for the Big 12 title game if they play Brendan Sorsby. Other conferences were speaking out against it. Like, literally, it was Texas Tech on one side and one judge. And then on the other side, it was literally everyone else involved with college football at any level at all, from idiot fans like me up to school ADs and presidents and everything in between. And it was nice to see that finally, somehow, the college football world was able to come together, and despite these idiotic judge rulings, and this is just one example of it, there's eligibility things that judges have done and all sorts of other things. It was good to finally see some pushback against that, and what I consider to be the good guys winning that debate for once. It's not likely to happen again. I mean, even since then, we've had another big mess where players who are literally playing in NFL preseason games are now quitting their NFL team to come back to college because the court said so. So it wasn't a sign of things to come, but at least in that one scenario, we all got to point and laugh at Texas Tech, and in the end, it worked out the way we all wanted it to work out, which is Brendan Sorsby should not be allowed to ever play college football at any level ever again, and that's what's happening. I mean, the Canadian League wouldn't even take this guy. The fucking Canadian League would not even take this guy. So, just like I said over the summer when that was going on, I hope Brendan Sorsby gets whatever help he needs. But I'll say this about that. If he's as sick mental health wise as Texas Tech people would have us believe, it's like, it's a sickness. If we don't let him play, who knows what he'll do? It'll destabilize him. It'll ruin him mentally. If he was that bad off with the addiction to sports gambling that he had, the last thing he needed to be doing was playing college football and surrounding himself in a sports environment. That's the last thing he needed. This would be like the world's biggest alcoholic going to a counselor in an AA meeting and they recommending that he get a job as a bartender.
Like, it's just not a good idea. But so anyway, best of luck to Brendan Sorsby next year and in the NFL. I think his character took a massive hit with that. The reputation of Texas Tech, I think, took a massive hit with that too. Not going to affect how they play on the football field this year, at least not during the regular season. I think they'll be fine in the regular season. They brought Brendan Sorsby in to win playoff games. They've got a roster that can get them to the Big 12 championship without Brendan Sorsby. Whether it's Will Hammond or now, hell, who knows, Tommy Castellanos. Boy, Texas Tech, it feels like Texas Tech just sits around waiting on judges to make some sort of ruling involving college football, and then they immediately take advantage of it, don't they? Are they really going to bring in Tommy Castellanos? How in the world are you going to bring a quarterback in and teach him how to run an offense in 6 days? I don't understand. And is Will Hammond that good? And Tommy Castellanos is not that good. So if Texas Tech is desperate enough at the quarterback position where they're, at least the rumors are, trying to lure Tommy Castellanos there, what does that say about Will Hammond? He must be dog shit. I don't know. I mean, that must be what Texas Tech thinks about him anyway. So anyway, Texas Tech, I know you're glad the offseason is over because, look, once the season starts, we're not going to have many opportunities to laugh at Texas Tech. They're going to be really good again. I think BYU can challenge them for the Big 12 in the end. There'll be a couple of other good teams, Utah, Kansas State, Houston and Texas Tech play in week 3. I think it's going to be a good game, but I would expect Texas Tech at a minimum to make the Big 12 title game again. So all right, what about Notre Dame? Why is the Notre Dame helmet over there? Well, isn't it obvious? They're this year's postseason crybabies in terms of we didn't make the playoffs. The world is unfair. Everyone hates us. Everyone's out to get us, that kind of thing. And Notre Dame fans, before you get too mad, don't worry about it. Every single year, somebody is in your same situation, and every single year they act almost the same way. There's always a few little differences here and there. For example, Notre Dame was scared to play in the Pop-Tart Bowl. You go back a few years ago, as mad as Florida State was, going 13-0 in the regular, or 12-0 in the regular season, then winning the ACC championship game at 13-0 and getting left out of the playoffs. Yeah, they were mad. Yeah, they cried and whined all offseason. They bitched and moaned. Filed never-ending lawsuits, embarrassed themselves all over the internet for 6 months straight. Yeah, they did all that, just like you did. But Florida State at least showed up to play its bowl game that year. Now, they took the worst beating in bowl history, a 60-point slaughtering by the Georgia Bulldogs, but at least they showed up to play. Notre Dame got mad, took their ball, and went home scared. You would have lost to BYU anyway. That's the only thing I can figure. You'd have lost to BYU. You know you would have. So Notre Dame did that. So you're getting singled out in terms of this offseason, Notre Dame, because you were the bubble team last year. At the end of this coming season, somebody else is going to be that bubble team. And I'm pretty sure those fans are going to run around the internet and embarrass themselves just like you did this year, just like Florida State did a few years ago, just like Alabama fans did after the 2024 season, saying they should have been in at 9-3. No, you shouldn't have. Alabama had no business being anywhere near the playoffs in 2024. That didn't matter. They were the first team out. And therefore, it's like a federal law that if your favorite team is the first team out of the playoffs, you have to spend all offseason fucking crying and whining about it, blowing your nose and dribbling all over the floor for 6 months because your feelings are hurt because you didn't get a chance to win more games, dummy. Win more games, Alabama 2024. Win more games, Notre Dame 2025. You played 2 top 10 teams. You played 2 potential playoff teams that ended up making the playoffs. You lost to both of them. Your next biggest win after that was Southern Cal, who I think went 8-4, and 8 or whatever it was. Your biggest win other than Southern Cal was fucking Navy. Navy. That's why you didn't get in. And you say, well, Alabama got in with 3 losses. You might have had 3 losses too, Notre Dame, if you had the fucking stones to join a conference, but you don't, so that you won't potentially get a 3rd loss. So no, Alabama should not have been moved below Notre Dame last year after losing a conference championship game, a game that Notre Dame has been intentionally avoiding for 40 fucking years. No. You should not have been rewarded because Alabama played a 13th game and you didn't, by choice. By choice, you don't do that. You played a conference championship game one time in your program's history, and you got the absolute soul and will to live beat out of you. That was during the COVID year when you got on your hands and knees and sucked the taint of the ACC commissioner so he would allow you temporary status in the ACC because all of the conferences decided to only play conference games that year. So once again, in 2020, Notre Dame gets special treatment. I don't understand why the college football world continues to bend over for Notre Dame either. Now they're mad again, and guess what? We got to change the rules of everything to suit fucking Notre Dame. Why? Why? Notre Dame now has a guaranteed spot in the 12-team playoff in any year that they finish in the top 12. And you might be thinking, well, it's a 12-team playoff. If you finish in the top 12, you're in anyway. No, you're not, because there's guaranteed spots for conference winners in the G6 and those kinds of things. Every single year of the 12-team playoff, it's only been 2, but both years of the 12-team playoff, there have been teams ranked in the top 12 at the end of the year that didn't make the playoff because they get bumped out for a Power 4 champion, a G6 champion, whatever the case. If that were to happen this season, let's just assume for the sake of argument, Notre Dame finishes 12. And let's just say for the sake of argument, Miami finishes 11. Miami, in that scenario, is going to get left out of the playoffs and Notre Dame is going to get in. Because if Notre Dame finishes in the top 12, they're guaranteed a spot. No other team has that guarantee. No other team has that. The reason Miami would get bumped out is a G6 team has to be in. So typically the 12 team would get bumped out for whatever G6 team gets into the playoffs. Not if that 12 team is Notre Dame, though. Whoever the 11 is going to get bumped out instead of Notre Dame. All the conference commissioners agreed to it, which I'd love to get those dumbasses in a room and sit them down with some truth serum and ask them what in the absolute fuck they were thinking to hand Notre Dame its very own special needs Willy Wonka ticket into the playoff. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any. I don't know why we continue to do this for Notre Dame. We let Notre Dame operate outside of all of the rules that govern the rest of college football when it comes to conferences and the games played and who makes your schedule and whether or not you have to play a 13th game. And now they have their own special path to the playoffs that no other team has. And Notre Dame's fans' argument against that is, well, every other team already has a guaranteed spot in the playoffs. All they have to do is win their conference. Yeah, take the SEC, for example. 1 out of 16 gets the same treatment that 1 out of 1 gets for Notre Dame. It's not the same, you fucking idiot. It's not the same. Notre Dame hasn't won shit since the late 1900s. They haven't won anything since last century. Why do we continue to bend over, grab our ankles, and let Notre Dame run it in raw as a college football community? I don't understand it. What is so fucking special about Notre Dame? Rudy wasn't even a real movie. It's completely fucking made up. It's no different than fucking Inception. It's just a good story. I don't understand it. I just don't understand it. Notre Dame won the national title in 1988. Since then, they have won a major postseason game in 1 year out of the 38. There's been 38 years since Notre Dame last won a natty. In one of those 38 years, Notre Dame won a major postseason game. That was 2 seasons ago when they won 3 playoff games or whatever it was. Every other major postseason game they've made it to, BCS games, the 14 playoff games, BCS Bowls, a BCS national title, the ACC championship game in 2020, the first round of the 14 playoff when they made that. They lost every single one. They lost every single one. Before they won playoff games in 2024, Notre Dame was like 0 for their last 12 in major postseason games. 1 season out of the last 38, Notre Dame has won a major postseason game. But the entirety of the college football world is expected to bend over, grin and bear it, and give Notre Dame whatever the fuck they want. It makes no sense to me. It makes no sense to me. And Notre Dame fans have run around the internet crying and bitching and moaning. You got to wipe your eyes off and look again and make sure you're not reading Florida State tweets from after the 2023 season. Oh, this is a revenge tour. We're beating everybody 100-0 this year. We're leaving no doubt. You remember what happened to Florida State after that? They went 2-10, bud. Now, here's the thing. Much like with Texas Tech earlier, we have to laugh at them in the offseason. because there's not going to be much to laugh at about Notre Dame once the season starts, unfortunately, for the rest of us. They're going to be really good. It's true that their schedule is a complete joke. By the way, so is Texas Tech's. It's true Notre Dame's schedule is a complete joke, but that doesn't determine how good or bad of a team they are. They're going to be a really good team. They lost those 2 NFL running backs, and while I don't think they will be as good there as they were last year, they now have a second-year starter at quarterback. They're loaded at the wide receiver room. Their lines of scrimmage are both NFL caliber. They got one of the best secondaries in the country. They're going to be loaded. They really have a 2.5 game season. They host Miami late in the year in November. About halfway through the season, they play on the road at BYU, and then they host SMU in the second half of the season. So those are 3 teams that are ranked in most preseason polls. We'll see how, if they're still ranked when those games are played. Now, I expect the Notre Dame-Miami game to be a great fucking game. I would lean Notre Dame right now because it's played in South Bend in November, and Miami doesn't have a good record of playing road games in November. I think they'll probably beat BYU. They'll probably beat SMU. It feels like 12-0 or 11-1 for Notre Dame. So this new rule where, if Notre Dame's ranked in the top 12, they're guaranteed to get in. They're not going to have to really, that's not going to come into play because Notre Dame is going to finish, I think, in the top 6. I will be curious to see, though, even if Notre Dame goes 12-0, if they get rewarded with a 1 through 4 seed. That is curious to me. If they get moved ahead of, say, a 1-loss Big Ten champion or SEC champion or even Big 12 or ACC champion, undefeated without having played a 13th game, whereas whoever wins the SEC, ACC, Big 10, or Big 12 will have played a 13th game. I'll be curious to see how the committee handles that. I don't think Notre Dame should ever get a first-round bye because they get a bye the previous week. You know what I'm saying? They get a bye during conference championship week, whereas the rest of the 8 of the other top 10 teams in the country basically are playing that week in a conference championship game. So anyway, we better laugh at Notre Dame now because once the season starts, they're going to be really good. They're going to be really good. Why is Texas over here? That's a good question. Now, Texas also didn't make the playoffs last year. Texas also was close to making the playoffs last year like Notre Dame was. Notre Dame was 10-2. Texas was 9-3. Now, the reason I've got Texas over here on the year season is overall, it's got to do with some of the things that were said by not only Texas fans, but the Texas coaching staff and the Texas administration this offseason as it relates to their record last year, getting left out of the playoffs, and the whole strength of schedule argument and debate. The strength of schedule thing in college football is getting totally fucking out of hand. The way people talk about it is insane to me. First of all, yes, I think strength of schedule should matter. But here's the thing. It already does. It already does. Texas fans running around, oh, well, if we wouldn't have played Ohio State in week 1 and we would have played, East Tobago University, we'd have been 10-2 and we'd have gotten the playoffs. That may be true. That may be true. But that's the wrong fucking mindset to have. What's wrong with going, man, if we just would have been a little bit better last year and beat Ohio State, who we lost to by 7, or beat a terrible Florida team who we lost to, we could have been in the playoffs. What can we do as a team and as a program to improve enough to make sure that doesn't happen next year? That's what a winner would do. That's a winning mindset. You want to know what a woozy mindset is? A pussy mindset? Oh man, we went 9-3. One of those losses was to a good team, Ohio State. What can we do in the future to make sure we don't play any good teams or we play as few good teams as possible? Because we can't beat them because we're giant fucking pussies. No wonder your logo looks like a uterus. Holy shit. The strength of schedule, people, they want strength of schedule to matter to the point where that's all that matters. Not the games. Forget what you saw with your eyes during the season. Forget the fact that you saw Texas go down and lose to a 4-win Florida team that fired their coach. They were so bad. Forget that. Forget the fact that you saw Texas go on the road to Ohio State and struggle to get first downs for the entire fucking game before finally scoring a touchdown in garbage time at the very end. Forget that. Forget the fact that Texas was down by 3 touchdowns to Mississippi State in the fourth quarter. Forget that. Forget the fact that Arch Manning played like complete dog shit for the first 6 weeks of the season. Forget that. None of that matters. All that matters is, on paper, Texas had a really hard schedule, therefore, they should be in the playoffs. Hell, according to you dummies, we don't even need to play the games. We can just get somebody to come up with a strength of schedule metric at the beginning of the season. We can go into hibernation, wake up in December, and start the playoff there without playing any games at all. We can just look at total team talent on the roster and a strength of schedule and come up with the best 12 combination of those two things. Who's got the 12 hardest schedules? Who's got the 12 top rosters? Add that up, blah, blah, blah. Those are your 12. That's what you idiots sound like. Strength of schedule already matters. Why do you think Texas at 9-3 was ranked ahead of Utah at 10-2? Why do you think Texas at 9-3 was ranked ahead of Tulane at 11-1? Why? Why? Because of strength of schedule, you fucking idiot. That's why. Holy shit. You're literally retarded. You're literally retarded. All off season, all the way up through media days. Every time they stick a microphone in the Texas man's face, whether it's the coaching staff, the players, whoever it is. Oh, well, if we wouldn't have played Ohio State. But how about if we would have beat Ohio State? How about that? You know, if you'd have beat Ohio State, you'd have been in. If you'd have beat Florida, you'd have been in, but you didn't. And you can't face that because you're a giant fucking pussy. So instead you run around and you go, how can we not schedule these teams anymore? Oh, God damn, man. You're supposed to beat Texas. Fucking act like it. Holy shit. Pitiful. Pitiful, dude. Real pitiful. Florida. Last minute addition to the list, Florida. Why is Florida on the list? Y'all, I really think we might be in a situation here with Florida where they don't have a starting quarterback. Now, obviously, somebody has to play that position, snap one, game one, right? I think they might both be career backups. Philo and Jones down at Florida. It's been funny the last couple of weeks, too. Florida's had a couple of scrimmages, and the Florida fans, they're all over Twitter trying to get some intel. Oh my God, who looked better? I hope it's the guy I want to start that looked better. And the Florida fans are starting to form into different camps. There's Team Philo, there's Team Jones. Of course, racism is getting brought into it like it always does. I have experience with that going back to the Fromm and Fields days at Georgia. But it's funny to watch from afar when I'm not directly involved in it as a fan. I can just point and laugh at it. But look, Philo has been with Buster Faulkner for 2 years. How has he not won the job? How has Philo not won the job yet at Florida? And for the Tramel Jones people, he's supposed to be this all-world talent, an athlete, a do-it-all type of QB. Philo's a backup at Georgia Tech to Haynes King, a guy who can't complete a pass. How is he not? How has he not won the job? Yeah, we're 6 days from the start of the season. We don't know who the fuck Florida's quarterback's going to be. Now, I will say this. I'm recording this Sunday morning. It's not getting posted till Sunday night. Maybe Florida announces a starter this afternoon before this video goes live. I don't know. But even then, a week before, I don't think they might be in a bad fucking way at the quarterback position, Florida. Now, I think Florida's good at running back, good at wide receiver, in particularly good at wide receiver. Ball, don't know that they have much behind him, but I love Ball, love their wide receivers. I do have some concerns about the lines of scrimmage, particularly the offensive line, and I've got some concerns about their depth overall defensively. But I think their starting 11 on defense will be B+ at least. I think their wide receivers are A. I think Ball is an A. Their running back room overall, probably A-. So in other words, they've got talent there. I don't think they're going 4-8. My prediction for Florida was 8-4. I'm just laughing at the quarterback situation now because I really believe we may be in a situation at Florida where they just don't have a quarterback. Not a real starting quarterback. You know, I thought, and I think we all thought, you had all these quarterback battles going on. Bama, Tennessee, and Florida specifically in the SEC, right? Bama named Keelan Russell. Tennessee hasn't named one yet. I think it'll be Faison. Faison's a true freshman, though. So, like, if he doesn't win the starting job, that's not an indication he's whatever. They'll be fine. But, like, we may be in a situation here where Florida just doesn't have a starting quarterback. They just got a couple of backups. What you wanted, whether you're any of those three teams, but particularly if you're Florida, you wanted to find a quarterback this offseason, settle on him. You want him to go out and have a good year, and then you want that guy to return next year as your quarterback, right? You'd much rather go into a season with a returning quarterback from the previous year who played well the previous year. Like, that's the ideal situation. And when you're fishing for a new quarterback, that's typically what you're looking for. Now, there have been some schools that have gone out through the transfer portal and got these one-and-done guys. Miami keeps doing that over and over again. Did it with Cam Ward, did it with Carson Beck. Now they're doing it with Darian Mensah. And for them, it's worked. There's 100 other examples I could give you where it didn't work. I think that might be the boat Florida is in next offseason. Florida's starter in 2027 might not be on the roster this year. It might not be Philo or Tramel Jones. We could be in a situation where both of these quarterbacks are two different dog turds. They just smell different. They both stink. They just smell different. Neither one of them might not be any good. And I've seen Florida fans debate all offseason about whether Philo is going to be the guy or whether Tramel Jones is going to be the guy, but I haven't heard any Florida fan go, what if neither one of them is the guy? And I think that might be the situation we're headed for at Florida this season. We'll see. I could be wrong. I've been wrong before. I picked Georgia to beat Georgia Tech back in 2016, and they didn't do it. So I have been wrong before. All right, that's it for the teams on the wall. A couple of other quick things. The Save College Sports Act, we've been over it a million times. Congress is out of session right now for summer break. They come back in session, I think, after Labor Day. So like the second week of September. I'm honestly hoping they don't do anything with the bill during the college football season because I don't want to have to talk about it during the season. We talked about it so much in the offseason, and I don't enjoy talking about that kind of stuff. First of all, it's the government. Fuck them. I'm surprised they can do anything ever. And when they do something, it's usually wrong or bad or ends up not working. But I don't want to be in week 4 or 5 or 6 of the season and have to be talking about some change Congress made to the Save College Sports Act or some vote that Congress had and it didn't pass and they need 2 more votes. I don't want to be doing that. I want to take September through January and talk about actual college football. February to August, I'll grin and bear it, and I'll talk about never-ending playoff expansion and conference expansion and Congress and the government and the Save College Sports Act and 7-year eligibility. But during the season, I just don't want to have to deal with that. I really don't. Now, if something major happens, I'll have to, and I'll talk about it. But I won't be happy about it. What else? That's about it, really. That pretty much sums up the offseason if you think about it. Notre Dame fans embarrassed themselves. Texas wants only strength of schedule to matter. That's it. Texas Tech and Brendan Sorsby. Texas in the strength of schedule. Florida doesn't have a starting quarterback. Sorry, they just don't. Notre Dame crying. No reason. Thank God the offseason is over, right? Thank God the offseason is over. That's going to do it. I can't wait till next Sunday. Next Sunday will be the first one, the real one. You'll see. We will be pointing and laughing. Who are we going to laugh at, North Carolina or TCU? Who do you think? Let me know down below. NC State and Virginia. Who are we going to laugh at? Let me know down below. Memphis and UNLV. Who are we going to laugh at next week? Let me know down below. I love you guys. Strap in. It's time for another college football season here on YouTube. I'm excited. I know you are too. Make sure you hit the thumbs up, subscribe if you're not. Have a good morning.